can't believe you're 80. You know, vintage things are very cool right now, so you're finally cool.
He's vintage.
But, you know, I could easily list 80 reasons why you're special to me. I've got 80,000 of them. But I think one of the most special things is the way you're able to make me feel special all the time. And I just hope that you can feel how special you are to us tonight. You're always there for all of us, and you're the strength and the pillar of our family, and I don't know what I would do without you. I wish you health and happiness and a happy birthday, Daddy. I love you.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not going to be that nice. Well, I have 1,000 things I could say too. You know, I was always kind of envious of Jerry. He would always come over to Mom's. Helen and Jerry would be there a couple times a year. And he would do little things like change a light bulb, maybe fix an electrical problem for Mom, and Mom would go on for weeks how wonderful it's been. I mean, almost to the point where I want to vomit. And I'm over there twice a week for an hour doing all these chores for her, and he comes twice a year, and he's just, you know, like God. So there comes a point where we thought, you know, Mom is not seeing this right. She is dealing with some issues right now. And so then we started to kind of get a little concerned about Mom's health. But, you know, I guess it is what it is, and you're her favorite. So anyway, I know for a lot of us here, Jerry in some ways has kind of been a thorn in the flesh. I know that's very biblical, and I have found out over the years my flesh has thickened. So you can't do to me what you used to do. And he's so sarcastic. I mean, I'm sure he's said stuff to all of you guys that you think, where in the world did that come from? Yeah. You know, but that's just the way he is. You know? You know, I have found out that the good die young and the bad live forever. I think this guy's going to stay around forever. You know, you see us all in the grave.
I hope so.
So anyway, Helen wrote some stuff for me to share, and I just kind of embellished it a little bit. And it says, well, Jerry, how does it feel to be 80 years old? How does it feel? Does it feel
Huh?
You must be doing something right to get that old. And I'm thinking, 80? To look at that man, you think, oh, not a day younger than 90. So, 80 is not so bad, you know. As long as you can still hear, stand, see, and don't spend all your time at the doctor, dentist, or the pharmacy. Getting old is not for the sissies. You remember the movie with Clint Eastwood, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly?
Yeah.
I want you to know that Jerry qualifies for at least 2 of those categories. And the thing is, you could have tried out for the movie. And because Helen says, you know, he jumped around from jobs to jobs, it says this man has had more jobs than any other person I know. It says he was 4 years in the Air Force, he's been a truck driver, a farmer, insurance agent, a real estate broker, and an air conditioning contractor. Now, I don't know how that happened. He has built houses, has a taxi service. I didn't know about that one, a taxi service. Owned and managed a campground. Well, that's a work in process. What's wrong with you? Can't you keep a job?
He's still looking to find out what he's good at.
So, stopping there a bit, do any of you have any embellishing you want to do in regards to maybe what has been said so far? I'm sure you guys have them.
Well,
And just remember, you can outrun them. Linda.
Well, I don't know Jerry as well as many of you, so I called Helen one day and asked her to give me the scoop on Jerry. And I found out some things that were really quite amazing. And it was so much that I thought I'd better write it down. For example, did you know that Helen and Jerry, when they still lived in Dinuba, one day some serious looking men showed up on their front porch. They looked like characters out of Men in Black. Well, Jerry immediately started to worry that they were the IRS, so he headed out the back door and left Helen all by herself. Well, Helen, being the gentle soul that she is, invited them in for coffee. So Jerry showed up about an hour later and they were still chatting. Turns out they were from the Guinness Book of World Records and wanted to measure his mustache. Now at that time, Jerry wore a handlebar mustache. You may recall seeing it on his, the clever artwork on his Schuler real estate business card. Well, the current record holder had a mustache of 10¼ inches long when pulled out straight. So Jerry, being a good sport, let them unwind his mustache and take a measurement. He warned them to be careful and not let it go spring loose because it could puncture his eye. And they were careful, but darn, it was only 9 inches long. The Guinness people were so disappointed because they had flew in from Scotland. So they asked if there was anything else record-breaking around there. Well, Helen immediately thought of his antiques in the backyard. And they counted 28 rusty milk cans. A fair amount, but not enough to break a world's record. However, it did break the record of milk cans on their street. Well, Jerry was sorry they had to go because he loved showing off his antiques. So to keep them there a bit longer, he revealed some musical talent that not even Helen knew he had. Since rainwater had collected in some of the milk cans and they were of different sizes, Jerry went into the kitchen and got a wooden spoon and came back outside and proceeded to tap out the song, a rendition of Old MacDonald Had a Farm, singing harmony as an accompaniment. Isn't that right, Helen? Unfortunately, this musical performance had the opposite effect on the visitors, and they were last seen backing up slowly, putting up their hands and putting on their black glasses, saying, "Thank you, 2 verses is plenty." Well, later, Helen and Jerry heard that one of the men had decided to take an early retirement, and they were sad about that. But on the upside, Jerry enjoyed their visit so much, he seriously considered opening an antique store. But Jerry was in retirement, after all, and needed to slow down. Still, he yearned for the days when his friends used to call him Speed. You see, Jerry used to be on the stock car racing circuit. Isn't that right, Helen?
Yep.
This was long before Ed and Sons took up that sport. Actually, this was in the days when cars used to be started with a crank. But see, seriously, as a teenager in Bell, California, Speed Gleckler used to burn rubber on Garfield Avenue on Friday nights. He and his friends at Bell High School would drag race to impress the girls, and you could see by his handsome photos from high school what a looker he was. He wore Levi's, loafers, and kept a pack of smokes rolled up in his t-shirt, and he looked really tough. Actually, fights would break out between the girls who wanted to ride in his sharp 1956 Chevy lowrider. That all changed when Uncle Sam got a hold of him and shaved off that head of hair, and unfortunately it never grew back quite the same. Jerry has been known as a jack of many trades. You name a profession, he's pretty much done it. For a while, anything legal and upstanding, that is. He particularly enjoyed working real estate in Dinuba. That was after he had had his fill of farming. Though Jerry grew vegetables and alfalfa, most people didn't know that he really preferred raising horses to agriculture. Now that's where the real estate office comes in, because one day a young filly came into his office looking for work. And he thought, maybe I should take up racehorsing. I have no idea what that means. This young lady's name was Helen. She came to apply for a job. She may as well have been Helen of Troy because she had a face that launched his ship. Though he hadn't actually advertised for help, he decided he would find some work for her to do, just because he enjoyed having her around. Why, he sold the same house 3 times in 1 week just so he could instruct Helen on the paperwork. This is also where Jerry's jack-of-all-trades skills came in, because one day Helen needed some help with a plumbing problem out on Avenue 408, and Jerry didn't hesitate to help her with it. Mind you, Jerry would have helped anyone who needed it, but let's just say he didn't need to be asked twice. Well, I think I've been going on long enough and should give somebody else a turn. And I've made up a bunch of stuff here, but what I'm not making up is that I dearly appreciate you, Jerry, and the thing that I appreciate you most is that you love my sister. Thank you.
I like the part about the antiques. You know, when I first seen that house in Dinuba, I'm expecting a backyard with some grass and, you know, kind of nicely manicured. I thought, these aren't antiques. You need to call Waste Management. But, you know, it always amazes me how a man can grow a mustache, a beard, hair in his ears, nose, can't put it on top of his head. All right, we're just starting, so. I heard Jerry once drove 200 miles for a crab Louis salad. Who does stuff like that? I mean,
the Bear Club?
my gosh. Jerry's favorite restaurants, from San Diego, Huntington Beach, Bakersfield to Lodi, and every town in between.
We'll turn to Alaska now.
Yeah, you've never had a restaurant you didn't enjoy. Jerry has lots of hobbies. Not really, but he collects cookbooks. It says, I've heard he has over 500 scattered over his house. We don't know why, when all he likes to do is to eat out. Yeah. So is there anybody else that has a term of endearment?
Marv, I feel like Jerry's getting older by the minute, so I want to get something done. He told me before that his ultimate business plan was to owe $1 million. And I just want to know if you'll loan it to me right now. before you go, because I'll take it anytime, Jerry. I'll go into business with you anytime. No,
Good
seriously,
deal.
Jerry, I've known Jerry for 27 years, and he has been an inspiration to me as a businessman, sort of a surrogate father, and
Yeah,
I love him very much.
yeah. You know, there was this Richard Petty driving event that we had over at California Speedway back about 3 or 4 years ago. And I knew how Jerry loved the NASCAR racing. He watches them on television all the time. Huge fan. So anyway, I had an opportunity to talk to him and say, hey, I have somebody that has a free ride on the Richard Petty driving experience if you're interested. And so he was all excited and decided, yeah, let's do it. And so I figured, you know, this guy is going to go around that track and break records. So, so this desire he had for speed, he was offered a chance to drive around the speedway, and he jumped at it. He suited up and jumped into the Tony Stewart 20 car and took off. Now these are the real deal cars. These cars have 600 horsepower. They are capable of going up to 220 miles an hour. So the only thing was he got black flag. Well, that's when they have a pace car and they want you to be right on the tail of this pace car. Now the pace car is going 180 miles an hour. Well, Jerry was going 150 miles an hour. So the flagger, every time you come around the track, will run a flag back and forth to tell you, hey, speed up or slow down or whatever it is. So the black flag was to speed up. So anyway, we had some concerns at that point about his driving. So anyway, I guess we need to cut some slack for Jerry though, because he just had a hip replacement 2 weeks prior to that. So we had to slide him into the car. You take the steering wheel off, you slide him through the driver's side window. It was an experience for all of us to do that.
Talk about pouring a guy into a car.
But, you know, in hindsight, I thought, you know, maybe he should go into the Henry Ford clinic, you know, for some therapy or something, because that caught all of us off guard that he wasn't, you know, really up to par in that driving stuff. So, you know, maybe a couple weeks at the Henry Ford clinic.
Some clinic.
Betty Ford.
So anyway, anybody else got something? Something to,
I'll take a drink.
all right.
I'm the younger brother, and he had a 12-year head start on me. And I always wondered, you know, why my mom and dad made him sleep in the garage. I didn't know that it was his choice, but I kind of figured out that they were probably glad that he did want to sleep in the garage, because one night he was loading his, cleaning his firearm, and went off and shot the television set. I figured out, Mom doesn't want him in the house.
That's good.
I shot Bilko right between the eyes.
Anybody else?
Oh, I must.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, here we go.
Preach it, Joe. Preach it.
I have all my outline here, Dan.
12-point sermon?
I want to go back to that 57 Ford.
Yes.
And Jerry had just bought that brand new Ford. And I was just learning to get used to Jerry. And I learned a lot. But he says, come on with me, Joe. And we were living up in Denair at the time where there's all these wheat fields. And so he said, come with me. So I hopped in, and then he says, you can get out now, after we got out in the desert. And he started in that 57 Ford. And I mean to tell you, it was brand new. Hardly even broke in. And here he goes. Donut after donut after donut. Pretty soon he had trenches after trencher after trencher out there. And I thought, man, that guy's nuts. You mean I'm going to have him as a brother-in-law? Anyway, he showed me how to drive, because one time I had not a brand new, but a nice Buick Special, and it was a coupe. He's laughing already. And I was out there and I thought, boy, I'll show him. And I was doing donuts and everything. He says, oh, come on. You're not getting anything out of this thing. Let me drive. And like a nut, I let him. And boy, I'm telling you, were you in the car?
I don't remember.
She doesn't remember. I do. Quite well. Man, he got behind that wheel, and that trenches that he left behind was something else. And I thought, this car will never run right anymore. But it was a new experience for me, and I didn't know whether I wanted him for a brother-in-law or not. But it ended up that way. And since then, I've learned to really love that guy. He's okay. Then another thing, somebody mentioned him shooting the television. Well, I was at their house when Jerry came in. He looked at me and he began to laugh. He says, I shot Bunko! I shot Bunko! How many of you remember Bunko? Huh? Nobody?
No.
Oh man, you're a young generation. You do.
Sergeant Bill.
Yeah, you have one here too.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bilko.
Okay,
Bilko.
and then let's see.
He's always teasing you.
One of the things that really bothered me more than anything else, I had just become the pastor of his home church, along with my wife Marilyn, and we were enjoying it there. And so I thought Jerry would be impressed because I was a pastor. So one day, I don't know how the subject came up, but it came up about me being pastor. And let's see, what did he say? When are you going to get a real job?
I've heard that
Yeah, we worked one day a week.
Yeah, only for a few hours.
I should have called you into buried
2
dead.
hours a week.
Well, the one thing that I really appreciated about our family was that we used to go on camping trips together, and we really missed that. And the thing that I really think a lot about is our trips to Pine Flats with our kids when they were in high school. And the trip on the pontoon boat in the middle of the night when we went fishing. See, he's laughing. And the guys were fishing, and they'd shine these lights in the water to draw the fish. Isn't that why you did that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it worked so well that the batteries were killed in the boat. In the middle of the night, in the middle of the lake, in the dark. So what did we use to paddle that boat? There was one paddle, I think. We used...
And Jerry had that.
And Jerry had fish nets. Didn't we have like those...
And a lid to an ice chest.
And a lid to an ice chest. So we're paddling back yelling help because we couldn't get any help. And I think this was all Jerry's idea. But we finally had this little guy in a little tiny aluminum boat that we hooked up to when we were practically, a few feet away from where we started. And anyway, he dragged us back. So that was a happy ending. But Jerry, I have to tell you, I love you so much. Dan and I love you dearly, and you know our kids do.
Yeah.
I remember with just so much love the mornings that we would sit by the campground and have coffee together. And Dan talks about the words of wisdom that we not only got from his dad and mother, but from you, and we just love you so much for that.
Really? Words of wisdom?
Yeah, some, just a little tiny bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're in trouble.
I guess I'm the oldest living relative since I'm 18 months older than he is. I got here first, and then there were 3 boys, and then we had 3 boys, so I really don't know much about girls. But not only has it been a great, I really appreciate Jerry, but you know, our family has a great history. I've been doing, working on genealogy and putting ancestors kind of in place on a computer, and just to see the heritage that we have is a real privilege to know those that have gone before us and have loved the Lord and have followed and done some amazing things. And so it's really a great thing to be part of this family, and so all of you are.
Yeah.
And I could take him on until he got bigger than me, you know?
That's when I was 5.
He was always a tattletale though, but he was the one that usually got into the trouble. But later on in our lives, as we've lived in Oregon, and we would come down this way, and in the middle of the night, we'd come and knock on their door, and they bailed us out. Jerry's bailed us out more times than I ever want to talk about. We got like 50 miles down the road from a visit one time to, no, I forget the name of that. You all would know the name of that town. And something broke down, so Jerry would call him, and he gets in his truck and comes like an hour down and helps us bail out, get back up again. So he's bailed me out more times than I want to tell about.
Me too.
But I love him dearly, and I'm really proud that he's my brother. As well as
Any other liars?
I'm sure Jerry really contributed to the gene pool of the Weckler clan. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I'd like to thank my Uncle Jerry for not killing me when I was a young kid. Being a hyperactive child, it wasn't easy being around Uncle Jerry, but he put me in my place. And I remember him telling the story one time about, you know, one of the things that I really appreciated about Jerry is he's a car buff, and I'm a car buff, and we've really kind of shared that throughout the years. So I always had little Matchbox cars or whatever, and I'd be running them everywhere. And I remember him talking about, I'm in the back seat and he's driving, and I'm running these Matchbox cars all over the car, all over his head, and all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to thank you for, you know, not taking me out. And speaking of hair and all that kind of stuff, I was really confused when my dad came home and said, "Oh yeah, Jerry's got a new business started. He's doing hair conditioning." And his business is called the Hair Doctor. Well, that's kind of interesting. But then later on, I found out really that it was the air conditioning, not air conditioning. So
See a family resemblance.
yeah, exactly. And I just kind of wanted to warn everybody here to never go fishing with Jerry in Pine Flat Lake as well. So,
like being up the creek without a paddle.
or bring an oar or a battery charger. But I just wanted to thank you for all the all the wonderful times, you know, since we were little itty bitty kids, you know, getting together at your place, celebrating holidays and stuff like that, and all the growing up, and just all the laughs and all the humor. It was always just a great time that I know that I always looked forward to, and I know that our entire family did. And just the support that you've been in our family for all these years is just your unconditional love and just graciousness. We really appreciate that, Jerry. So hallelujah, we're also just rejoicing your 80th birthday, and can't wait for the 90th.
Well, you know, this guy thinks he can do anything. This whole air conditioning thing, it started with him coming to San Diego, and he said, oh, can I do a ride-along? Well, he rides along for a few hours. Oh, I can do that. And that was the end of the training. He goes back to I'm serious. I did a little work on the unit, and he says, oh, no problem. You know, piece of cake. So that's why he's had so many jobs. He watches other people work and right away says, oh, I can do that.
Besides, he can't work for anybody else.
Yeah. He'd starve to death. He had to work for somebody else.
He never did become a preacher either.
No.
That's why I'm doing that in my retirement. Yeah, I can work one day.
Yeah, you're a good talker. Anybody else? Gee. All right.
Hey, Bob. Hey, son. I'm not gonna roast you too hard. But I really didn't write anything down, but the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks I've really been thinking about some stories, and some stuff came up tonight, so, you know, I thought of a couple Jerryisms. That, you know, and
Geriatrics.
maybe that's what we'll call the new ones. But, you know, I've heard him compliment Mom, you know, I've gagged worse down.
Yes.
You know? And there's another one that goes along with that. I'll think of it in a second.
Hey, I'm not gonna tell you about that.
But, well, a while back, Dad was remembering a memory from when I was, I don't know, 6, 7, 8. We were living at the ranch, and we used to have this, I think it came out of like a hot potato thing, but it was a time bomb. It was black and had a red knob on the top, and then you wound it up and it ticked. And we would, you know, I would sneak in down the hall and open the bedroom door Saturday morning, and I'd roll it across their floor, and, you know, because whoever it went off on, you know, it was, you know, it's going back and forth, and so I didn't know until later he cheated. If you held the top, it stopped the timer from ticking. And he would let it count down to like 2 seconds and then toss it at me, and I'd always get zapped. So I was at the store the other day, and I found the closest thing that I could come. You can't reset it and you can't cheat. But when you squeeze it, it starts and it goes boom. So there you go. Fond memories of, you know, 80th birthday. You know, we're in a drought here, and you know, and so I got you 80 candles, but we're not going to light them until winter. Okay. And I know how much you hate carrying a comb, but I got you a special one. Kind of folds down so you can put it in your shirt pocket. There. You can probably do it in the mustache too. Anyway, you know, there are so many things I've thought about over the last couple of weeks. This has brought a lot of joy to my heart, thinking about all the things that we've done growing up. And you know, probably some of you will agree it was growing up together because he's just a big kid, you know, like I am still. But the one thing I've admired about my father is the ability to reinvent himself or change himself. I honestly can't remember how many jobs he's had. I've heard a lot about him. You know? He's got this little thing in his office. It's a little plaque. He calls it his life in a frame. It's got all the different pins from the different things he's done. You know, he was Grand Poobah at the Masons a couple times. And,
Worshipful master.
But I love you, Pop. But I know where I was going. I'm definitely not as adventurous as he is in reinventing himself. I've been at the same place 25 years. You know, not the same job, but the same employer. Anyway, that's one thing I always admired about you. I can do that. I'll go get my contractor's license. I can do that. You know, I'll go do that. But, well, they can sell insurance. Anyone can sell insurance. Sell a house? Yeah, I can do that. You know, then you decide to work for yourself, and yeah, so, anyway. I love you, Pop.
All right, anyone else?
That's enough.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Now, I'm probably one of the least familiar with Jerry, all right? It's only been a few years, and he hasn't even told me that I'm his best friend yet. And that's the way I understand it is, because Lori and her mom were like this, and now you got your wife a little bit more to yourself, which is a fabulous thing. But we had the pleasure of having him on a vacation with us. And that was all good, and it was kind of funny about your mom. He comes to my mom's house, adjusts the washer, the sink, faucet, a doorknob.
Little wrist.
Yes, and my mom is saying, wow, the guy walks on water. And says, he is so nice and wonderful.
Oh.
Well, we have a great time, all right? Now we're coming back. And this is one reason why I'm so thankful that I'm a Christian. I don't know if you realize this, but this scared the heck out of me. We're in a parking lot. We parked there first, right? Of course. And they closed the parking lot while we were gone. We could not get back to our car. We could not leave the parking lot. We go this way. Jerry's about to go, you know, the spikes, we're going to go through them. Well, they get about 3 guys there. Finally, we go to another exit. There's a camera. Jerry gets out, a little upset. He's up there ranting and raving. Get somebody out here now! Fine, I think security. Well, anyway, we got out of there. Now, this is San Jose Airport, all right? We drove from San Jose to Fresno in about 2.5 hours, and I'm praying to God, I'm there, please make this safe. And finally, I have the courage. We're entering Fresno. Jerry, that's like a 40-mile-an-hour turn. It's really dangerous. Slow down. And he did wonderful, but the whole time I was like white-knuckled and scared to death. And nobody said anything during that 2.5 hours.
Speechless.
You're brave. I guess I wasn't happy.
All right. Well, Jerry enjoys watching TV. Some of his favorite shows are Mountain Man, Swamp People, Turtle Man, Dirty Jobs Man, Coyote Man, Swamp Loggers, Dog the Bounty Hunter. So there's a theme going on here. And Helen just groans and leaves the room. And that's what I'm going to do right now, but I am going to be right back, so don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Anyway, something to say too. Jerry doesn't like kids. He's always made a big point of it.
We all know.
So what does he do? He marries me with 5 kids. I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Good call, Dad.
And Rita gets the brunt of a lot of stuff. I mean, she has to hang out with Jerry and I, and of course, he's always throwing this stuff at her. So I was feeling really bad for Rita, and one time I thought, oh, she just can't take it anymore. She comes down the stairs, and Jerry just says something crazy at her, and she stood there and she said, "Shut up, Dad."
Is that what you
Excuse me, is there Mr. Gleckler here? Mr. Gleckler? Oh, we were called because we were told that that you were in need of some desperate medical attention. Oh, are you Mr. Gleckler?
Oh, that's him over there.
Well,
Yeah, there's more than one.
I would like to introduce my medical team. This is Dr. Coldfinger, your resident proctologist. He was formerly a veterinarian, so don't worry, he's used to working with animals of all kinds. And we are very proud that last week, Dr. Coldfinger became a doctor of proctology. Now, please come stand behind. Please stand He loves that. He loves that.
You'll have to wait some.
And this is Nurse Goodbody. She is very able, and in her spare time, she works at, and she's very proud of this. She's a pole dancer at the And I am Dr. Feelgood.
And they feel, everybody that Dr. Feelgood works on feels good until they get the bill.
Now, Mr. Gleckler, I understand you just turned 80. Now, let me look at your chart. Yes, it says date of birth, August 22nd, 1914.
That's what mine says.
Oh, that must have been a clerical error. Oh, I see, it's 1934.
That makes more
Oh, it
sense.
must have been a clerical error
Yeah.
there.
Well, he can pass for 1914.
No.
A little black.
Okay, can we call you Gerald?
Okay.
Please settle back and relax. Are you comfortable?
Yes.